Hi there. My name is Andrew McElrath. I'm an energy healing practitioner that uses a modality called biofield tuning. And today I just wanted to hop on and do a general check-in. If this is the first time that you're seeing any of my videos or experiencing a biofield tuning session, you're going to want to make sure that you're fully hydrated before you watch or listen to this. And also just be aware that you're going to hear me breathe a lot as we do this, and you are going to want to do the same. Sometimes when we're feeling into our energy systems and noticing what's going on, if there's stuff under the surface, we tend to hold our breath. And so I may invite you to breathe as well. It's a good invitation if you want to imagine that as you're exhaling, you're letting that move through the base of your spine and the bottom of your feet. What we're going to be doing first today is anchoring in everybody's Earth Star, making space for us to get fully grounded in our space, and then we're going to move on up to the Sun Star. These energy centers generally live about 8 to 12 inches below your feet and above your crown. And the idea is that we're allowing the flow of energy to move both ways. If you could imagine a two-way street of flow going on there. And as we do this, I'm conducting the session as if anyone who's ever going to listen to it is included. So if you're here listening to it, welcome. And yeah, and just sort of be present in your body. It's great to receive this work if you're in a relaxed state. So if you can make space to be uninterrupted, that is wonderful. And ideally, you could also lie down if you chose to do that as well. So, all right, folks. So I'll talk you through as we're doing it, but I'm going to use a placeholder here the way that I'm set up. I'm going to work down here below, but I'll show you periodically what's going on. Using a piece of lapis as a placeholder. That was just what was called for me today to use for us. So I'm going to be working down here, and so I'm going to invite everyone with your intention and my intention to be present in the moment that you're listening to this, and as I'm working now. So here we all are. First thing we're going to do is open up the Earth Star below here. And yeah, so some of the forks I'm going to use are going to make sound, some of them aren't. And I'll let you know what we're doing as we're doing it. So let's just see where everyone's at in this moment. So there's a feeling here in the collective of being very ready to let go of whatever is not serving us individually and collectively. Like being at the end of one's threshold, if you will. And there's a little of intensity with that, right? Some of us might have been holding on to situations or people or agreements that may have been going on for quite some time. And there can be a lot of emotions when we become aware of that or really feel into it. So I'm just going to invite everyone to breathe in and invite some clarity into what's ready to go. There's a little bit of a stillness in here, a desire to want some peace in one's space and in general. And that's okay. We're going through a lot. We tend to think in our minds and maybe replay the past, think about the future, and all of that can be an important part. Sometimes we tend to spin out in that space. So I'm going to use a couple weighted forks here, and we're going to use these as if we're on either side of your ears, all right? And it's like we're pulling out the cotton that might be going on there, right? So these are weighted forks here. Just a couple more times here for you folks. There you go. Whew, good job. I was noticing some energy almost like in the front part, the frontal lobe, where um, a lot of our emotions hang out there. So sometimes it feels really good just to massage your scalp and kind of rub all the parts. So it's just something to think about. There you go. Hey, and let's make space for you to receive this session for you, okay? You're not other people's stuff and their projects. It's okay to maybe sweet to show up for folks in your life and in the world. And let's just make some space for you to be you here and you to take care of you. So anywhere that you maybe have put yourself aside as not the main character in your own show or hologram, let's put you back in the center of it, okay? This is your show. This is your story. You get to decide how you want to manage it. What you bring to the forefront, what's in the foreground, what's in the background. All right, we got a little emotional and maybe physical inflammation. So sometimes when there's something running that's not quite right and we're fussing about it, maybe we don't feel like we have all the resources or support to move it, it can kind of, I don't want to say fester, but yeah, I can kind of get so inflamed that it's requires our attention. So I'm going to use a 528 crystal here. We're going to unwind anywhere that there's something that just feels like it's so persistent or intense that it's not able to move. And we may not be able to resolve everything, but let's just make some space here for, that not to get in the way of next steps. Yeah, just because there's stuff going on doesn't mean it's all on your plate. We're in a diverse ecosystem of energy and intention. If you need to hand something over for some other support network to take care of, either you can ask for help or hand it over completely. There you go. That's it. Folks, you're doing great. All right, we're going to slowly move this down into the ground. Okay. All right, so we hit a sticky spot. We worked on the ears before. Now we're going to go on the jaw. So I'm going to use myself as an example here. Again, we're going to use these two weighted forks. If you can imagine, we're placing them almost here. These are little crystal boots here. And we're going to gather this up here. So in a way you're holding back words that need to be spoken, anywhere that you're not being heard, anywhere that you're repeating yourself. Let's make space for that to move, okay? Just know that sometimes we get clarity when we speak, so if you need to explore your language to be understood, That can be really helpful. There we go. Literally, there's something here that talks about really switching up your story. So if you read, it's like reading the same story over and over again. Maybe consider the story that you're reading or writing. Is that the one that's really supportive for you? There you go, folks. Ooh, good job. And if you need to make noise or move around, that's all perfect. All right, see, it's like mini layers today. I'm moving this down. We got another spot. This time, there's a spot, and it feels kind of connected to the left side of the abdomen, so it's kind of spleen area. And this is where we can feel really powerless and sort of, it's kind of where victim stuff lives a little bit, kind of whiny. I don't know, I don't know what to do, and that's understandable. It's understandable to feel like that. And the place of power individually and collectively is not generally in victimhood. Doesn't mean that what happens has happened is okay, and you get stuck there. It can be really intense, right? So anywhere that you're, trying to fill that space, or maybe there's some hopelessness there, and if we feel like we watch enough movies or work with our vices enough to feel like it fills that space up, it generally doesn't, right? It's like a band-aid. So let's try to make some space where you're filling in that empty space with maybe empty calories or emptiness. And it's okay to check out a little bit. It's just when it gets to be out of balance, it can be a bigger issue. So let's make space for that to shift, right? And I'll just say this, anywhere that we're consenting to a state of victimhood, let's clean that up, because we are in some levels, we're in an environment of consent, and everything happens with us consenting to it. And if we change that, then we change our willingness to engage in a pattern or a thought process or an energy. And sometimes the way to move out of that, not always, but sometimes it can be allowing us to feel some pushback inside ourselves. And that could be anger. And anger is okay to as a catalyst. So maybe not great to stay there. And you want to be mindful about how that's being expressed. And sometimes it takes some momentum to get out of the poor me space, okay? There you go. Yeah, so let's make some space to lift each other up, okay? None of us need to be down for the count and unable to get up. There you go. Good news is that everything changes. Everything. Nothing stays the same. Nice big deep breath, everybody. So now that we're moving this down to where it wants to live, there's a little bit of a feeling of like, well, how can I possibly feel grounded when there's X, Y, and Z happening on a personal and collective level? And Yeah, I think it feels really intense, and it has felt really intense for a while, and it's been an intense ride no matter what. You can imagine that. If you ever see birds fly up above and ride the thermals, they're watching it from a different perspective. So let's make some space for your perspective to pull back, right? Instead of being in it, which is important, you can also see it from up above and know that the hard stuff that we move through, yep, it is hard and can be hard, and there's space for it to shift, and it will shift, and it does shift. Folks, you're doing great. We've had a lot of stuff move through in this little bit we've been working together down. As that's all working itself out down there, let's make some space for it to also come up, right? Because it's really important to remember that we are receiving energy from down below, right? And that ideally we're in an environment of exchange in general. And that we're hanging out on two-way streets. And I'm going to kind of go back to anywhere you're holding on to things or energy or intentions that may have been handed to you by proxy, association, maybe even agreements that have expired or no longer working. It's okay to let it go. And you decide how that works. If you need to have a conversation or a ceremony or a ritual, let it go. It's easier to move around in the world when you're not carrying so much, especially if it's not ours. So, there you go. All right, folks, we're going to work with a 528 down here and a crystal again. We're going to, I was thinking about something that came up in a conversation where you can see the health of a plant if you inspect their roots. So let's make some space to shake off and clean off and cleanse anywhere that your roots have some things going on that maybe aren't so great for the rest of the parts of you, if you will. Yeah, anywhere that emotions have built up in a way that maybe is creating a elemental imbalance. Okay, because use a lot of plant analogies, but many plants, unless it's their nature, need drainage. Yeah. And sometimes it's really great for us to take breaks from the space that we're in. There you go. That's great. And now that you're all nice and grounded here, let's make some space for some energy to come up from the earth into your body. That's great. Just going to invite you to feel and notice if there's any resistance happening. That sound feels a lot better than when we started. It's almost like when we get really grounded, we can almost see the colors, and maybe our sense of smell gets really clear. We can hear sounds with a lot more accuracy. We kind of release that static going on there. That's nice. All right. Folks, you're doing great. We're going to move upstairs and work on the Sunstar here. And just before we move up there, let's just, I'm just going to invite everyone to explore new pathways to show up for yourself more. Really know that the investment you make in the relationship you have with yourself really influences and impacts your relationship externally with everything. Right? The universe, or maybe the hologram, however you want to frame it, is taking its cues from your signal. There you go. All right, let's see what's going on upstairs. We're going to move up there. Ha ha! Right, we're a couple inches above the crown. Ooh, it's a little bit intense up here. It's like somebody turned on the lights a little too bright and you woke up from a sound sleep. Squinty. Oof. So, this time, we're going to use our trusty weighted forks. We're going to use these on either side of your eyes, okay? And this time, if you need a timeout, you just need to have if you're not taking timeouts regularly, whatever that looks like, that could be a nap, could be a walk in nature, meditating. Let's make some space for a timeout to happen here. It's like a feeling of being overstimulated. There we go, folks. Whew, good job. Let's see where are we at? This is interesting. I don't know. I don't know how many of you, hopefully some of you, remember paper maps. Before we had these little devices that told us where to go. We had maps, and you had to look at the map and find where you were and find which direction you were going, and the little scales, you could calculate approximately mileage, and it was a really different process. You had to be very conscious of it. We weren't all on autopilot. And I get this feeling up here of imagining that we're pulling out the paper map. Right? We're getting a little old school here. And it's somehow in looking at the paths that we are on with that paper map allows us to see things different than when we're on autopilot with our little GPS. And somehow utilizing navigation with intention and emotion the same way that maybe our parents or our grandparents did is really powerful. I don't know why that's coming up, but that's what I'm getting. And that, yeah, we've defaulted to these devices to tell us which way to go, and you have your own GPS. And in my observation, that it lives in your heart. Your brain is great, wonderful tool. However, it is not, I think, the best tool, part of your body. I don't want to say tool, but the part of your being that knows your true north. And sometimes, our bodies don't know how to lie. If we're really listening to our bodies, always going to tell you the truth. So I invite everybody to breathe, and if you want to imagine you're breathing through the top of your head. And this is literally making, or prompting the feeling or the awareness of looking up at the stars. And if you haven't been able to get into a setting, a landscape where you're able to see those stars, you might want to consider doing that. It's hard to see that with the background lights of the city. There you go. Hey, so we're going to use a 144 and an 89 on the stone representing this mini tuning and your presence here. And what we're going to do is we're going to make space. Be aware that your GPS needs to be recalibrated. So sometimes devices that are used for measurement need to go through a recalibration process so that they can give an accurate reading. And I get this feeling like some of the expressions of our heart could use a little extra love to calibrate efficiently. On my phone, sometimes what it needs is you do this interesting figure 8 movement, ironically, and there's something about, I think, that coming back to the center point or the 0 point of that movement. So let's make some space for that. Here you go, folks. Come back to center here. And what drops in here is imagining like a heart reset. Maybe there were times in your life that your settings were specific to a relationship or an environment that has changed. And we need to reset our heart to function in a new way, or have a new pattern or a new rhythm. Yeah, there you go. Yes, when you aware that this sort of space for recalibration and reset means that you have a new pattern or a new rhythm in your life. Perfect. That is wonderful. There you go. Nice. Folks, that feels really good. Feels really good. So we're just going to invite you to be conscious and intentional of a two-way flow from down below in the earth all the way through your body, all the way up to our sun or the source or the creation of everything that is beyond all constructed matrices. I'm adding that one in because I think it's important for us to acknowledge the possibility and the likelihood that we are in a contained space on this planet, and that's what it is, and we have the invitation to be beyond that constructed matrix. So, folks, what we're going to do, we're going to do some figure eights, okay? We're going to make some space for all of this recalibration and resetting that we did to come together here. So I'm going to use a little weighted fork here. We're going to go up above to center, down below. There we go. We're going to do this a couple more times. Up, back to center, down below. One more time. Back to center and down below. Folks, you are like starlight in a body. You're infinite, you are eternal, and you are radiant. There you are. Woo! We're going to get everybody back into their body and seal up this session. Thank you so much for coming along for the ride. It's been a little bit, so I wanted to make sure I was able to hop on and check in and support everybody on their journey here. So here we go. We're going to seal up this session, get everybody's intention and energy field back to where they are and whatever time and space they're in. Thank you for showing up. I'm going to put some information down below in the description box if you are interested in a one-on-one session. I'd be honored to connect with you and support you on your journey in that way. Maybe starting to offer consult/mentorship. I've been working for the past 10 years, and I did the math. I've done well over 1,000 one-on-one sessions, not to mention worked on hundreds of people in group settings and distance work. So I would be honored to see if there's space for us to connect and I can support you in your journey, whether it's something you're working with in your immediate personal space or if there's some professional development that I can support you out with in that. So thank you so much, y'all. Take great care and be well.